The Big 12, if they were able to, and we don't know if that's going to happen because of what the Pac-12 is trying to do to help stabilize what they are. There's thoughts about Oregon, Washington, Stanford, whatever else. But there does seem to be some pretty good smoke about what they might be able to do with what they call the four corner schools. But if the Big 12 added, let's say, 3 or 4 teams to who they are now from the Pac-12, does that give them any overall better value, or is that just adding teams to add teams?
Look, we're at a place now with ESPN and Fox where their core conferences add so much value that it's hard to see how adding anybody except somebody who's absolutely going to a pay TV distributor say that's worth more, like Notre Dame. It's hard to see how much more incremental money you can get for that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a possibility if the Big 12 could expand with the four corner schools that it could get more than what it's getting right now on its own, and maybe on a small basis it makes more. But we're at a place now for ESPN and Fox. That would have to be for somebody else. ESPN and Fox, we're just the Big Ten and the SEC. Whoever gets added has to clearly bring incremental value to each school when they're done, and their media partners.
Right.
It's hard to see how those 4 schools do it. Now, if you combine the whole thing together, maybe you've got something. But it's just those 4 corners. And I was born at the University of Arizona. My dad's an Arizona graduate. I love Arizona. But I hear a lot of that. I see it. Makes sense for geography and play. But pay TV economics, it doesn't, I think, move the number near enough to be strategic in any way.
And if the Big Ten is going to be $75 million or whatever that number is going to be, 80, 85, 90, eventually 100, does Washington or Oregon or even Stanford bring enough to the table where that would stay the same if they were added or go bigger?
Well, I think it depends on when you add it. I mean, sometimes one of the problems is you have to go, you acquire content or you improve your content, and you go have a conversation with pay TV distributors, and part of the art form of doing these negotiations is actually knowing really how much they can pay. And the truth of the matter is we've got examples where people have bid too much for stuff in the past 10 years. Mostly it's the local sports side, and then the channel ended up getting no distribution. Time Warner Cable's bid to the Dodgers is a great example where Time Warner Cable went bankrupt and Charter bought them because they overpriced what they gave the Dodgers. Dodgers have done well, but the channel is gone. The channel now belongs to a different company because they couldn't get distribution because the price they had to charge for the channel was so high. So, when you go to a pay TV distributor, you're looking to say, I've got a lot of value here. How do I increase this? You need to recognize it. It's hard to see how you can't do that without really specific pieces that grow the pie now, because the numbers have gotten so big. So if you're one of if you're not the SEC and you're not the Big Ten, the challenge is how to assemble those pieces. And Oregon and Washington are great. I mean, those are elite college football teams, but the Big Ten's so loaded now. If you go right now with USC and UCLA, I don't know that you're not leaving money on the table if you don't add them later. What you do is you maybe go this time and go to the pay TV distributors. They're going to have to pay a lot more for college football, to NBC if the deal's true, to CBS, to ESPN, because the SEC is better, and Fox. You wait 3 or 4 years. The distributors pass on the price increases, and they digest it, and now you come back with more expansion. I would still think, even in 3 years, unless you were getting Notre Dame or you were getting Oregon and Washington and Stanford and Cal, because you get the whole Bay Area, even though it is the Bay Area, it still has value. I know people think it doesn't, but it does. And make it up, right? Whatever your expansion is, you get 5 or 6 teams. Maybe that has value, but it's getting to a place where it's tough, right? The value creation by adding teams to Big Ten and SEC, I think, has gotten a lot harder, and the bar's a lot higher. So the question is, if you're a college football commissioner, where do you add value? And the answer is, with people who you're going to have to find either amongst yourselves, or you're going to have to make some kind of case that I can't see to say that you have a lot of value to close the gap between the Big Ten and the SEC, who don't need to expand anymore. They really don't.
Pat, Baylor, as you know,